Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi has arrived in Sri Lanka on a visit aimed at strengthening ties between the two countries. He's meeting President Ranil Wickremesinghe and inaugurating a multi-million-dollar power plant built by an Iranian engineering company. Ahead of this visit, Raisi spent 3 days in Pakistan as part of his tour of South Asia. Minelle Fernandez has more now from Colombo.
He's got right into the reasons for his visit, having arrived at the Mathal airport in the southeast of the country. Incidentally, that is very much the region that will benefit most from the irrigation part of this Amaraweera project. The Iranian president and his Sri Lankan counterpart pressed the button on the launch of that multi-purpose development project. It will generate electricity as well as provide irrigation to over 12 or 15,000 hectares of land. Later on in the day, he will be here in Colombo, where he will be received by the Sri Lankan president with a formal guard of honor. There will be the inking of some memorandums of understanding, and obviously before he leaves there will be a joint statement as well. It has been a long relationship. They have bought our tea, we have bought its oil, we have a refinery that was mainly geared towards Iranian oil, and it's been a long-term relationship. And now with geopolitics taking center stage internationally, obviously the Iranian president coming to Sri Lanka, even though this was a planned visit at a time when there's so much tension back home, shows the importance that Iran is placing on building ties and keeping them cordial.
Now, North Korea has sent a high-level delegation to Iran. The rare visit is prompting speculation of cooperation between the two nations on their weapons programs. Pyongyang and Tehran are known to have close ties, and both are under international sanctions. Eunice has more now from Seoul.
It was a brief one-liner on state media. North Korea's Minister for External Economic Affairs has left Pyongyang on Tuesday for Iran. Yoon Jong-ho is Pyongyang's Minister for International Trade, known to have contributed to deepening economic ties with Moscow in recent months. But North Korea has not sent a high-level official to Iran in 5 years. It's a relationship shrouded in secrecy. The two states are known to have collaborated on missiles as far back as the 1980s, with a U.S. intelligence report in 2019 noting Iran's Shahab-3 ballistic missile was based on North Korea's mid-range Nodong ballistic missile. Now, driven by a common enemy in the U.S., now they have a shared tie in Russia. Despite being under international sanctions, Iranian drones and North Korean ballistic missiles have helped fuel Moscow's war on Ukraine. The United States last week said it was, quote, incredibly concerned with the possibility Iran and North Korea were cooperating on nuclear and ballistic missiles. Now, analysts here in Seoul suspect that North Korea's footprint in recent years has been limited to supporting Hezbollah and Hamas, but many will be watching whether this economic delegation to Iran could have implications on the military sector, just as Pyongyang's relations with Moscow has rapidly developed in recent months. Eunice Kim, Al Jazeera, Seoul.
Let us speak now to Abbas Aslani, who's a senior research fellow with the Center for Middle East Strategic Studies, joins us now from Tehran via Skype. But first of all, let's just talk about the visit to Sri Lanka, where Iran already has trade relations. And I guess this visit is more about keeping those relations well-oiled. Is that right?
Nick, the visit is quite important because in the wake of the failure to revive the nuclear deal, Iran is trying to find alternatives to its options in economic field, most specifically in the region and among Asian countries. That's why the ongoing visit by Iranian President to Sri Lanka is important, where he inaugurated a $500 million hydropower plant. And this kind of paves the way to somehow compensate the complexities Iran has found in its trade relations with foreign countries within a context that the nuclear deal is not working. So that's why I think from an economic perspective, as well as, let's say, a political perspective, this is a path toward, evading isolation as well.
Right. Are there many opportunities for trade to try and avoid the sanctions, to try and circumvent the effects of the sanctions at least?
One point is there, and that's the number of the countries who have been under the sanctions by the West. But as much as this number increases, I think this also increases the chance for them in order to cooperate together, to work together. If you look at Iran's relations with Russia in the wake of the unprecedented sanctions against Moscow, you're seeing that the volume trade between Iran and that country has, witnessed a significant increase. And this is subject to other countries as well, who have been, to some extent, or kind of faced the pressure by the West. And this has somehow maybe created, partly difficulties for those countries, including Iran. But in some ways, it has also created opportunity for them to find ways to work together.
Okay, moving on to North Korea. We just heard how North Korea has sent a delegation to Iran, raising questions in certain quarters about potential weapons programs, cooperation. What do you make of that?
This is quite a rare public visit by Korean officials to Iran in the past years. But these two countries share one thing in common, and that's their tense relations with the United States and the West. Or to put it precisely, these two countries for long years have been facing economic and political pressure and sanctions for a long time. And Iran and North Korea are part of a broader front comprised of Eastern powers, including China and Russia, which rivals the Western front. So this is quite meaningful in that context. But the current delegation is led by an economic official, and this somehow indicates that Iran and North Korea, as this has been case with the Russia or to some extent with China, are trying to use this, similar enemy as a factor pushing them toward more economic cooperation. But the capabilities that exist in Iran and North Korea, which is, military capabilities in the missile field and also the nuclear activities, has somehow, attracted the attention by the international media to this ongoing visit. But because they are in a camp which stands against the West, this is quite meaningful against the backdrop of the ongoing developments in the Middle East or the tensions that exist between East and the West globally. So this is part of the regional and international dynamism which we have been witnessing in the past years.
All right, Abbas, thanks for that. Abbas Aslani, they're a senior research fellow with the Center for Middle East and Strategic Studies. Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.